even though it's at the end, Baron, you like to take the honors of
Yes.
introducing our guest of the evening.
So, folks, today we have here Invoice, and you can see his digitally altered, extremely handsome picture
Wow.
face in our
Mm-hmm.
meme box. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we could say he looks like that. We have the COO, the chief. What is it again? You got the CFO, which is his chief financial officer, and then you have the COO, which is the chief organization.
Chief
Operating.
orgasm donor
That's
name.
my
There you go, operating officer
Yeah.
for One True King. This man runs the day-to-day back office and makes sure those crazy folks over at OTK don't burn down the internet with their greatness.
You're about to say a
It's
different word
true.
other than
Tips
folks, weren't
out.
you?
Hey, no, what's so dope is I actually met Tip like a long time ago, like years ago, at a college gaming expo. I was standing in line, I was probably looking awkward, and we just started talking it up about it. They were having a WoW tournament, right? Is that what was going on?
It was University of California Riverside. Um, they were having some kind of convention, right?
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of the convention, but it was a gaming convention. A lot of people, a lot of the Smash players brought their CRTs. It was just like a general, a university-based gaming convention. What you would expect. You had the booths, you had people playing games, um, you had an auction. It's been a long time, but I remember it faintly, and I remember running into you, Baron, in line, and we just kind of chatting up a little bit, and had a good time. Had a good conversation with you. But the truth is, that was kind of that. But then we connected on Twitter, and over the years, just time went by. But when I saw you hit me up, I was like, you know what? I gotta at the very least pay homage to my humble beginnings, and remember the good times when I was coming up. So I wanted to come and chat, see how you're doing. I think your wife was there. I think your daughter was there at the time too. Hopefully everyone's doing well, and just kind of say hi and see what you're up to.
Man, you know what? Folks, for those who don't know, just to kind of frame it, because One True King, you guys had in July alone over 25, was it 25 million watch hours?
Ooh,
It was actually 27, but we had to
See,
nerf it a little bit for the sake of the competition.
ooh.
Hey,
these guys are the most watched live streaming organization. Like,
Yeah.
and then the one thing that I'm truly like outside of talking about how you went from being, in front of the camera a lot. I mean, you had a very successful YouTube channel, streaming platform, running Call of Duty League, running CDL, like, and doing all type of stuff, but now switching over to the back office aspect of it. And that's something I want to talk about. But first, I want to highlight the fact that you guys raise over 600,000 this year for charity?
This our last event we hit close to 600K. This year we've raised 1.5 million so far.
Dude,
beautiful.
like, this is, and what charity did you guys raise it for, and can people still donate?
Yes, the charity is called Games for Love. It's an organization that provides children in hospitals with both terminal and non-terminal illnesses games. So they give them PlayStations, Xboxes, Switches, basically employing distraction therapy so the kids in the hospitals don't have to be reminded what they're going through. Which for us, it resonates a lot with our crew, Asmon in particular. He went through some of that when he was a kid. So it's a charity that we absolutely love to work with. We love their mission, and at the end of the day, we're all gamers. We know how it was back when we were 8, 9, 10 years old, how much video gaming can just change your life or suck you into a different world and make you forget the problems that you're dealing with. So we love working with them, and we're doing another event with them later on this year.
Man, awesome stuff, dude.
For those
Like,
interested, Games for Love is in the description down below if you guys want to go in and donate. We were fortunate, not even close to level as you guys know, but we were able to raise $1,000 pretty quickly for our charity that we're doing. That we got a pony up for as far as our what we have to do to get people to donate. As far as
yeah,
gameplay coming up pretty soon, but I love it when people donate Ours are for our local children's hospital, so that's always a great story to hear people, raising money and giving back, because there's always people who love gaming just as much as we do, but are less fortunate, or they have some medical conditions going on. So that is in the description if you guys want to go over and donate. Trust me, every penny, every dollar is all love for a child somewhere. I promise you.
Well, we appreciate that, Fame, and congrats on the $1,000. It ain't about how much you raise; it's about the effort. Because
Facts.
if everyone in the world put in the effort, then the money wouldn't matter because we'd have plenty. We'd have 10 times, 100 times more, right?
Facts.
So it's much appreciated that you guys are doing what you're doing.
That's all. So I do want to ask. So Baron gave us a lot of information about you, but one thing I'm interested in knowing, because this is something that I have dreams of doing at some point in time. So I would say this is for everybody, but this is kind of selfishly for me. How was it going that transition from having to be, or being on camera and being a face, to not doing as much of those things anymore, not being on camera as much, more of the back office thing? Because as you know, level one, we're a year into it. We're a small company, we're growing, and so we're constantly on camera and doing those things. But you've made that transition. How was that transition for you? Like, you miss being on camera and streaming and being a face every day?
I'll be completely honest with you. I don't miss being on stream, at least from the camera side of things. And I'll get into that in a little bit. I do definitely miss the community side, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. You come out, you got this community, these people supporting you, you trying to do your best to entertain them, make their day a little bit happier and stuff like that. I miss that side of it. But my background, actually, and I'm not sure if Baron knows this, but I'm actually an engineer by trade. So
Okay.
I went to Purdue back in the days. I'm a boilermaker, and I graduated with a degree in engineering. And I pretty much went about my life. I worked in the industry, in the contracting industry, for many years. I worked internationally as a engineering consultant for some organizations in the GCC. Helped with the Qatar 2022 World Cup buildings that were going up there at the time in Doha.
Nice.
So for me, I'd already kind of started my life, and I think you guys in a lot of the same way. I mean, we're a little bit older. We're not the young generation of gamers coming up. We're not Gen Z. We're in the mid millennial age. So for me, I had always loved gaming, and I'd always loved games commentary. Big shout out to Total Biscuit, may you rest in peace. He was a big inspiration of mine. Just as YouTube was progressing and stuff. But I never really had. Uh, for lack of a better word, I never really had the balls to kind of dive into it, to put my career, on hold. I always felt like I had too much responsibility. So, in terms of the professional side, that was the easy part for me. That's what I grew up with. That's what I worked in 7 years prior to getting into gaming at all. And so, when the opportunity came with OTK, when I was talking to Asmon about the organization, there was pretty much a mutual consensus between both of us that I wanted to work in the back office, kind of go back to my roots, project management, organization, operations, etc. That was kind of my forte prior to entering into gaming. And for me, it was important to make sure I kept those tools sharp because, as you guys know, and as pretty much a lot of streamers find out this day, sometimes the easy way, sometimes the hard way, your star never lasts forever. So
Facts.
you've got to take advantage when the getting is good. You got to get as much as you can, but also inevitably not just streamers but also Hollywood movie stars, musicians, all forms of entertainment, comedians. One day that stage, those curtains come down on you. And so for me, the priority was, especially for my family, I wanted to put myself in a position where I could continue developing my career as a professional. For God forbid the day when I'm not interesting as an entertainer anymore to the audience, I could seamlessly transition to a role behind the scenes and continue working in industry. So that's why I went that route.
Okay, okay. So I do want to ask you, because we are a gaming podcast, and someone who is also a gamer yourself. What are you currently into right now?
Oh man, so this is where I might be a little underwhelming.
Uh
It's
oh.
very hard, and this is well known behind the scenes in the gaming industry. But the more you work in gaming, the less you actually game, which is, it's very sad to say, but
Talk to him.
the-
Preach.
this world, it's hyper competitive, very fast paced. You know, your entire career, your entire organization could completely change in a heartbeat, and you've got to be there, ready to adapt, ready to pick up the reins of any direction you go into. So, um, does it mean I never game? No, I try to. Uh, just for the sake of, remembering that I'm still a human being who used to love this. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it's very, very rare. My dose of gaming actually comes through watching streamers play on maybe a second or third monitor while I'm, typing up proposals, answering emails, going through our task management software, making sure everyone's doing their job. So for me, it's kind of a background thing nowadays. I don't actually get to play very much.
You know, that's crazy because me and Baron have that conversation a lot.
All
And
the time.
as we've been growing, and because we have a very small team, we have maybe 10 to 12 writers, a couple of editors, and it's us, right? So we have a very small team. We have to wear so many hats. So we find ourselves writing, editing videos, podcasting. And so a lot of
Reaching out to
times,
people.
reaching out to people, yeah. A lot of times people say, "Oh, you know, game." I'm like, "Yeah," because sometimes I don't really have the time to. Like right now, I'm gaming a lot because I'm working on another review. Like I just finished a review. I have
Same here.
another review that I'm working on, so I have to play this game, right? Because
Yep.
what you're able to do, and a goal that I know everyone on this panel has, but me and Baron talk about a lot, is one day I want to feed my family with this level one gaming logo. Like I want to be able to feed
Yep.
my family with this, right? So the grind to push every day is hard, to want to put time in the newest and the hottest game, especially if it's not a game that you're having to put up a review for, because like you said, it's hyper competitive. In our industry, who puts the review up first. It's a race to who put it up first and put it up a good quality to get those clicks. So I completely understand. And I'm envious and not envious at the same time, because I don't want to be at the point where I just can't play games at all, but I completely understand.
Oh man, it's so right before we started OTK, I was streaming a bit, playing
Mhm.
classic World of Warcraft, streaming classic WoW. That's kind of where I started when it came to my YouTube channel. And eventually I started putting on these tournaments like Baron called out, the Classic Duelers League. And you know, I started organizing dueling tournaments, arena tournaments, etc. And then I remember there was one day in particular, it was before the last CDL, where I just like sat there for a second. I'm like, hold on, I haven't played this game that I'm doing this tournament for in like a month and a half, at the
Lord.
time, which was crazy. I mean, that was like I was streaming it pretty much every day, making YouTube videos about it every day, playing it every day, up until like for the last CDL, we put a lot of effort into, a lot of time into it. So it kind of dawned on me, and I was like, oh yeah, it's okay, but I'll play right after the tournament's over. I haven't played World of Warcraft since that day, really. I messed around with
Wow.
Shadowlands a little bit at launch just to play with some friends to rekindle some friendships. But aside from those couple of days, I haven't really been playing that game or any other game, to be frank with you. So it's tough, man. It hits you fast, and you don't realize it. Sometimes for months until you look back and you're like, wait a minute, I came into this industry because I love gaming, but I ain't finding the time, man. Like between work, wife, kid, real life responsibilities, it's just like it's just sometimes it's too much.
You know what, folks? Like, our you we're getting real gems here because it's rare that you get to hear from this somebody in this position. Like, this is not normal, gaming industry podcast talk. Like this is, and it's I'm glad people get to hear the real behind it. Not saying that people shouldn't shoot for these things, but this is some of the sacrifices that come along with getting to that point.
Absolutely. And this isn't an isolated thing. You talk to anybody behind the scenes, you talk to Jack from Cloud9, you talk to Reggie from TSM, they're all the same way. They don't really get to play games anymore, even though some of them were professional esports players. Gaming is what made them, what they were born and bred with. Unfortunately, there's a point in time as you get along, depending on what your ambitions are and what your goals are, where you have to sacrifice a little bit. I do know a couple of people that have found that balance, and usually, if you're able to find yourself a great, C-suite or just great partners to work with that you can delegate really well to, I know that there's some managers that find a way to do it, but the family men, the guys that are married, they got kids and they're grinding this out. Baron's pointing to himself. He knows it's really really tough. It's super tough.
Yeah.
So shout out to anyone that's managing it, but unfortunately we lost the battle here in the Tips household.
You know what? Speaking with having a great team, how is it working? Because OTK, man, you guys are seriously have a powerhouse lineup of folks. I mean, Asmongold, as you mentioned, Mizkiff, J Slat. Like, how is it from your perspective in the back office managing those big personalities within the gaming world?
It's funny you asked me that question because I don't think I've ever publicly answered this question, and I've only done one interview since OTK, and that was to promote one of our Race to World First events. So, and not only is this the first time I will answer this question, but no one in OTK, and it's been kind of a general policy, we don't really do press. A lot of it is because, number one, we don't have time. But number two, for us, it's just kind of better to keep things in the family. But I'll make the executive call here to just go for it. All right. So Asm and Miz, if they somehow end up hearing this, I'm sorry, but but I'll tell you what. In construction, I met this one individual. I won't say his name. Let's call him Steve. And he was one of the brightest human beings I ever met. Top of his field. Every single engineer respected him. He could come up to a shop drawing, look at it for 5 seconds, and just start marking it up, and just know exactly what's wrong with the drawing. Is the HVAC system, is the power source sufficient for the HVAC system, etc. And I thought to myself, this is the smartest human being I've ever met in my life as it pertains to his industry. The crazy thing about OTK, as brilliant as Steve was, that is exactly how brilliant Asmin, Miz, Nick, Asfan, Rich, etc. are in their respective disciplines. They are some of the most brilliant people I've ever met as it pertains to streaming. And it's been a privilege working with all of them. Every single one of them possesses a unique set of skills that, have assembled this puzzle that is OTK. And every single one of them is pivotal to the organization's success. So how is it working with them? Sometimes I want to rip out my non-existent hair, but but just like with any genius, just like with any artist, right? But every other moment, it's just like, oh my God, this guy is brilliant. I cannot imagine anybody else, working with anybody else right now. So I'm very, very blessed and fortunate to be working with them.
Man, that sounds familiar because sometimes this team makes me want to pull out my non-existent hair. Then I realize what a talented team I have.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know.
Sir, we're angels.
Angels, the lies you tell.
No, I'm an angel. I'm an angle.
Yeah, you posted those memes, not us, okay?
Exactly.
Leader.
I didn't post no memes.
Before level 1 tips, I had a full
No.
I had hair.
I've known him for 5 years.
Level 1
I'm just in
hairline
real
was-
life. That's not true.
His steady creeping back.
I'm just gonna pretend I look like that picture that Baron linked. That's how I'm looking like these days.
This one?
But that's a little cold.
Oh, yeah,
baby boy.
that's probably more accurate right there. The second one's more accurate.
That's all it is.